And those kind of that motivation factors, like this can't be it. And then kind of where I found myself running out of options, I get a call from my team leader and he's speaking full sentences. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Dan? He's like, Hyperbarics, Wren, you got to try it. Mission 43 in Idaho and the Green Beret Foundation will pay for you to come up here. I'm like, he's like, but you got to dedicate. I'm like, dude, at this point, I'm all in.
So how long was it between the incident and that phone call that when you got looked at your team?
I tried to be like everybody else and just keep driving on. So I did that for a couple of years. So I didn't get out till 2020. And then pretty much right when I got out, I got treatment late 2020 and then 2021.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Broken Brains with your host, Bruce Parkman, sponsored by the Mac Parkman Foundation, the only national voice in the issue of repetitive brain trauma. On this show, we look at the issues of repetitive head impacts from contact sports and repetitive blast exposure for our military veterans and what it's doing to the brains of our kids, athletes, and veterans, and how this is responsible for the largest preventable cause of mental illness in this country. And this is critical for you to know because this condition is not trained in our nursing, psychological, or our doctor communities. So everybody that suffers from it, millions of Americans are being mistreated, misdiagnosed, and they continue to spiral. So you need to know this information. So we bring on leading advocates, researchers, and scientists to discuss different modalities, treatments, and areas where we can improve brain health so that you can be informed. Our guest today is another amazing veteran, Green Beret. Thank you very much for your service. Wren Murray is a former U.S. Army Green Beret and the co-founder and CEO of Revival Hyperbarics, a veteran-owned hyperbaric oxygen therapy HBOT clinic located in South Jordan, Utah. After sustaining a traumatic brain injury during his deployment to Afghanistan in 2017, Mr. Murray underwent HBOT treatments in 19 and 2020, which he credits with significantly aiding his recovery. Motivated by this experience, he established Revival Hyperbarics to provide similar healing opportunities to fellow veterans and their families. His dedication to service extends beyond his military career. In 2025, on an interview with the Security Hall podcast, he discussed how HBOT is significantly transforming recovery for veterans dealing with TBI, PTSD, Lyme disease, and shared his insights from his personal journey in the mission of Revival Hyperbarics. He's also completed the rigorous Sapper School in memory of his teammate, Aaron Butler, who was unfortunately killed in action, despite suffering from a broken back and a TBI at that time. Like he ain't got enough to do. He persevered through the training to pay tribute to his friends. And through his company, Revival Hyperbarics, Wren continues to support the veteran community, offering HBOT treatments aimed at improving the quality of life for those affected by service-related injuries. Wren, welcome to the show, sir, and thank you for dialing in all the way from, where the heck is South Jordan, Utah? I don't even know where Utah is, for the most part.
Yeah, North Nevada, West Colorado, somewhere in that general area.
Cool beans. Well, welcome to the show, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you're a Green Beret. What group were you in, and how long did you serve?
So started off as an intel guy at first. So I was a HUMIC guy. Then I was attached to third group on a deployment, decided to go over and go to selection, go that route. So I was a Charlie, I was in 19th group. I was a JTAC instructor, kind of did that whole thing.
Okay. Good on you. Well, thank you very much for your service. And
Yeah,
so
appreciate it.
obviously it was an injury that got you into, HBOT therapy and treatment. Can you tell us about that injury and what happened?
Yeah. So we were on a kind of a clearing operation in 17 for ISIS-K, and we were in a building, got hit by a recoilless, and turned into a mass cow. So we had a lot of brain injuries, lost some dudes, got medevaced. This were kind of the back break, the shrapnel, the TBI. So kind of beyond that was kind of like the journey to kind of get back to myself, because refusing to be one of those disgruntled veterans and have that crutch, and wanted to be a part of society and not take a handout.
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot about you, sir, because, there are a lot of veterans that never stop being a veteran, right? And after the military, there's a lot of things that we can do in this world to serve others, and to improve ourselves, right? I mean, it's, and so good for you for moving on that journey. How long did it take you to recover? Were you medevac through launch stool on the way back to the States, or?
We actually, that's a whole nother story, that interesting story. We actually, well, went back to McKenna. We took General Milley's jet back to JBAD, and then we went to McKenna, and then they were telling us we were going back in the valley to do that push again. And at this time, dudes are on crutches, through and through legs, kneecaps blown out, dudes with TBI. So there's a few of us that got to go to Germany, and then, a lot of us didn't.
Okay.
Some dudes stayed years in Walter Reed because of it. And that was kind of the inspiration for me to go. It was my team leader. He fractures pelvis, fractures neck. He couldn't even really talk anymore. He called me speaking full sentences because, at this point, trying psychedelics, trying therapy, trying to get back to normal, trying to find that new normal, because, it's kind of like it's hard to accept a new normal when it's not very fulfilling. And it's kind of a bad head place to be. And those kind of that motivation factors, like this can't be it. And then kind of where I found myself running out of options, I get a call from my team leader and he's speaking full sentences. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Dan? He's like, Hyperbarics, Ren, you got to try it. Mission 43 in Idaho and the Green Beret Foundation will pay for you to come up here. I'm like, he's like, but you got to dedicate. I'm like, dude, at this point, I'm all in.
So how long was it between the incident and that phone call that when you got that you team?
I tried to be like everybody else and just keep driving on. So I did that for a couple of years. So I didn't get out till 2020. And then pretty much right when I got out, I got treatment late 2020 and then 2021.
All right. So you got injured in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you were 3 years, on, I guess reserve, or is a reserve or National Guard?
Yeah. And I was full time. I think I was full time all but 18 months of the 12 years I was in.
Okay, so all right, so you did, yeah. Everybody stayed busy. So you're in for 12 years, man. That's a lot. And during that, and so were you, obviously you tried different modalities. Did any of them help you at all when you were exploring?
In my opinion, it was kind of a Band-Aid. It's kind of like different type of therapies. Prolonged exposure kind of made it less sensitive. If I was talking about it, psychedelics kind of seemed like it helped momentarily, but it seemed like to fade as quickly as it came. And I wasn't really able to retain the lesson. I wasn't really able to gain that insight. And so it was kind of this little holding pattern. Like the mindset is kind of like with the blast and where I was at, because we were living in the mountains, kind of clearing and holding and just living up there. And that was kind of the lifestyle. And then the blast happened. It seemed like I was just stuck in that mindset. And so the transition was like this, you're stuck in this like survival mode, like no emotion, like just kind of almost barbaric. It's just sounds fun, but it's like not when you don't want to be. You're kind of a shell of who you are, trying to screaming to get out, have feelings and have normal interactions and have relationships. It seems like a lot of dudes we talk to and help with here, it's relationships crash, empathy crashes, people become real mechanical. They want to be the person they are, and sometimes they can if they know who they are enough. They can pretend for a long time. And then hyperbarics, it was literally like someone had been holding my head underwater and kind of lift my head up and took a deep breath. Seemed like colors looked different, emotions looked different, and it was pretty surreal for me.
Well, that brings up a good point, is that when people start talking about what can we do to heal brains, especially when we're talking about repetitive brain trauma or even just massive blasts like IED, right? Whether, the damage occurs from thousands of small hits or one big blast, which I'm sure is not the only big blast you suffered in 12 years in special forces. Their brains are not all alike. There's not one brain protocol out there that can be prescribed over and over and over again because of the complexity organ, the different variations of injuring the brain, and how we respond to treatment. So for you, it sounds like after trying psychedelics, which have helped, hundreds of thousands of veterans, over the years, and some of the other stuff, HBOT was your treatment, man. So, that's amazing. So where did you go so you got a call from your team leader, and where did you end up going for treatment?
I went to Sun Valley Hyperbarics with Phil Rainey. So he helps a lot of dudes up in Idaho. So it's a pretty cool place to go. Sun Valley, you can walk to fly fish. just shut off social media and take care of yourself.
Really?
It was awesome because it was really just what I needed because I just got out, so I hadn't started working yet. So to go up and just disconnect and just work on myself was the perfect transition. And so with this again with the psychedelic thing, I will say after hyperbarics, it was effective. It was almost like I was trying to tune a car with a blown motor. So I think in my opinion, there's an order to all this, and I think a lot of people do it backwards. In my opinion, it's tuning a car with a blown cylinder, but with hyperbarics, you can actually build new capillaries, get blood flow back in your brain, get new neuroactivity, make new neural pathways, put your brain in a neuroplastic state. So you're kind of getting a good reset. You're resetting your cortisol, you're resetting a lot of your hormones, like a lot of it's super good success for people with PTSD and TBI. Then once you have all the right tools in your pocket, then go. If you need more, then go get that tune done. Then go find yourself.
That's interesting because we know that we do promote brain supplementation programs, to balance the chemistry, get the brain chemically back where it's supposed to be,
Mhm.
after it's been impacted by blast, by SSRIs or whatever crazy drugs the VA's given our veterans or our athletes. Man, these kids are getting medicated left and right with life-ending benzos and all kinds of dumb stuff. So, but that, absolutely, for, trying to figure out what is the order, right? We deal with the brain optimization lab, which is big on HBOT and photobiomodulation and vagus nerve stimulation. Talk to us a little bit about that because that's very interesting that you would recommend HBOT before everything. And so the benefits. Tell us about some of the benefits of HBOT, and how many the first time you went through, how many treatments did you have to conduct in order to reach a state of improvement.
So I did 2 sessions of 40. And it was kind of
Wow.
so we do it a little different here, and we work with America's Mighty Warriors. They're awesome. Debbie Lee, it was Mark Lee's mom, the first SEAL that killed in Iraq.
Mm.
She runs this nonprofit, and they're great to work with, and they do 40 to up to 60 dives. Because basically, with the first 40, I felt a lot of all my migraines were gone, all my light sensitivity was gone, noise sensitivity's gone, my vertigo's gone. I can feel my memory coming back, and just remembering random events that I couldn't even come close to processing or reaching for, like interpreters' names or just silly stories. And then so that 40 was over, and that was the protocol for a Green Beret Foundation at the time. And then Mission 43 paid for me to go back, or vice versa. Mission 43 paid first time. And I thought that was it, the 40. I was like, well, I feel a ton better. I'm glad I did it, you know? And then my friend's like, you're still an asshole. And then at the same time, I had a friend, Seth Goggins, out of 5th Battalion. He read my testimony in Sun Valley and he said, hey, can you come with me for my 40? And I'm like, I mean, I'll ask the Green Beret Foundation, see if they'll pay for it. I'll do another 40. And so really that was where it was more monumental for me. And that's when I realized, like these protocols matter. The duration matters. It's because I would drive up in the morning and look at Galena Pass. You can kind of see the sawtooth, and the sunrise is it's amazing. It's super beautiful. But I didn't realize how beautiful it was till one morning I went up there and watched the sunrise and I started bawling. And all of a sudden I felt alive. And then it was at that moment, it's like colors looked different. I could feel again. I had empathy again. It was like the light switch turned on. And I'm like, oh. And so that was like the huge, huge impact. Beyond that, it's like kind of at the first, I had kind of like physical and then the emotional, and I didn't even notice. I was so worried about the migraines, the emotion, being back to myself. It's like kind of the shrapnel I had in my hand and like I couldn't really close my pinky that well. Like that went away and I didn't even notice. The elbow pain from shrapnel went away. I didn't even notice. Cause like you're zoned in on what's really bothering you. What's really dragging you down. So I didn't realize how much better I was until I finally got my emotions back and the lights turned on. And I kind of realized all these other things are gone. Like I haven't had a migraine. I can go outside without, if you don't go outside with your sunglasses, you're like, it's just horrible pain. Then it turns into migraine. Then you shut down. And then but now I see guys that are doing that, and you know, I'll talk hyperbarics to them until I'm blue in the face because, like, you see quality of life, it's just shit. But
So I'm sorry, that first 40, how long did that take you to get through it?
so he runs a pretty hard protocol. I ended up doing the same here. We do twice a day, 6 days a week, so we can burn through within a month. We could burn through. But America's Mighty Warriors are awesome in the fact that they'll do up to 60. Because the reason I think I may not have needed as many the second time, because once you get to 20 dives, and Dr. Afrani's kind of studied this over and over again. The Israelis are really light years ahead of us on this. That at 20 hours of consecutive diving, your stem cells, 34 and 42, go to 800%. And you start, because you can proliferate, multiply, and your own stem cells. So you're kind of creating an environment where this can happen. And kind of the act of going down in pressure and coming up out of pressure, you're also promoting a hypoxic induced factor. And kind of what that means is if you got a crush wound on your arm and your body can identify it, it's going to try to rebuild capillaries and rebuild the nerve so you don't lose it. But going down in pressure with pure oxygen and that's so much saturation, coming back out of pressure, your body thinks it's suffocating and it'll have induce that hypoxic induced factor. And so we do air brakes at the bottom to do that again. And the significance of that with the brain injuries, you can actually rebuild capillaries and bypass the areas that don't have blood. And you can see on a nuclear SPECT scan, after 40 dives, you can see blood flow increasing. And it's a permanent increase because now you've created new capillaries. So it's not a subscription. You're fundamentally improving and fundamentally changing. And that's why, in my opinion, it's with dudes with TBI or PTSD, it's really a matter of time until their brains turn back on. If it's not going fast enough, I'll look at their glutathione levels, look at their methylation, make sure they have the proper amount of antioxidants. Because there's a lot of things that can kind of prohibit their own health with simple fixes like folate or B12, B6 along the way. And another interesting example is I was treating a 5-year-old with kidney failure, and she wouldn't change or like go to the bathroom by herself. And 15 dives in, that went away. Then I wrote a white paper, hopefully get into SOCOM and try to, I went to soft wake. I'm banging on as many doors as I can. Because it seems like, you look.
I was there, man. What a
It wild.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
my 15th one, dude. I'm the chairman of the foundation that runs that puppy, dude. It's what they've done with it is amazing, man. So did you go to the soft med I think are they still doing the soft medics thing? They have some kind of medic conference the week after soft week. Did they have that this year?
They told me that I talked to some sergeant major and got me in contact with kind of like a weekly, it's like a week, every Wednesday they talk, and so I'll make my way back out to Florida. But anybody I can get to listen, because it's, to me,
send me your stuff, man. I mean, I'm on General Fenton's brain team, man. I'm on his, he invites me in. He's invited me in once. And after I started selling our Army Navy game, I never, he's like Parkman, and I've known him a long time. But I can, send it to me. I know his command psychologist. I can help you disseminate that. Yeah, I mean, it's because we have a study going on here in Florida right now. Have you heard about the study with Joe DeTuri? I think it's they're treating like 200. It's a full gold standard longitudinal study.
Yeah.
And he's got, his protocols. I don't think right now, I don't think the protocols matter right now, anything other than getting people to recognize that. All right, let me just ask you a simple question. I ask everybody with a modality this question. What's the percentage of people that you treat that have a positive experience with the modality that you have, which is HBOT?
100%.
All right. See, this is what I keep going back to Congress with. It's like, look, man, you've got, we've been doing this wrong for 20-something years with drugs and therapy when we have brain damage. And until we change it, we don't have to wait for FDA approval for all these modalities. When we have 80, 90, 100% people coming out of this thing going, this helped me, saved my life, maybe a better person, whatever their issue is, right? You didn't commit a crime. You signed your line like I did. You did your time. You got out. You got hurt. we should be taking care of you. It's that simple,
Yeah.
right? But, we've still got a way to get, because even if we do get FDA approved, we still got to get, the medical community accepted, the insurance coverage, right? That's the big thing. And then scale these things, right? And, I've talked to Turi about this a lot, but I can help you down here, SoCal. Not a problem. Well, no promises, but I can try, right? So,
Yeah. No, I
but
appreciate it.
what's your white paper about, man? Talk to me about that. What are you pushing, man? What are you pushing?
So kind of, there's kind of multifaceted about kind of what I think PTSD is, and kind of relating that 5-year-old, like she did 15 dives and all of a sudden that PTSD was gone. She wasn't afraid to change, and she wasn't afraid. So, we all think about PTSD in a way of, we internalize ourselves in a way that's our own detriment. And then I argue a bit that I think it's neuroinflammation that's affecting our hypothalamus, because the 5-year-old's not aware of it themselves. But all of a sudden, 15 dives, they show up, run around talking to strangers, and like tells her mom she's going to go change herself. She's going to go to the bathroom by herself. She's going to go to therapy. She was just doing dive in between dialysis. Like that was a big eye opener. Or like a woman got her child left in a hot car. Within 3 dives, her stutter's gone, brain fog's gone. So I think there's a lot of this PTSD that's kind of, there's a neuroinflammation, there's a physical piece, and also the mobile side of it as well. It's like if we can get to dudes when they get hurt, then it won't be this 40 dive protocol. It won't be this 60 dive protocol. I helped my wife's sister got in a car wreck, and then a day or two later, she had a stutter that was just like my team leaders. So I flew to Arizona. I know Dr. Borsand out there, and dive number 7, stutter gone. And so
You bring up some really good points, because I don't want to talk about post-traumatic stress. I want to talk about post-traumatic growth. And literally, when people start thinking, every time there's step like what you went through was not post-traumatic stress. That was not PTSD. You have been through post-traumatic growth, which is taken, a tragedy, was taking that stress and turning it into something positive instead of relying on victimology or a crutch. Or you talk about those veterans that are out there and they'll tell you, I got PTSD forever. It's like, well, you don't, right? You got a condition that can be relieved, but you got to take some steps. But neuroinflammation, especially with repetitive blast exposure, repetitive head impacts, we now know that neuroinflammation is the largest problem that we have in the brain. For our audience, can you explain a little bit about what neuroinflammation is? How does it impact brain health? And then how does HBOT make it better?
So with neuroinflammation, it's kind of, I know the audience probably read a lot of your body keeps a score. And so your nerves can store information, and that information can create inflammation. And then so that inflammation, if it's great enough, can pass your blood-brain barrier, and for all purposes looks like affecting your hypothalamus, your hippocampus, and then promoting neurodegeneration. And then so, like for an easy example of body keeping a score would be like if you get shot in the elbow and you bump your elbow at the grocery store, but you go home and you have sweating with anxiety. Doesn't mean you're thinking about it. Doesn't mean you're actively participating in it, but your body will remember. So you have kind of this inflammation of your nervous system that really can start attacking your own brain. And so you have these traumatic events that keep compounding. So you get more and more cortisol, you get more and more inflammation. And eventually, if it starts passing your blood-brain barrier, now you're creating exponentially larger problems for yourself. And you can see it in people's speech, lack of word recall, brain fog, sleep, cortisol, hormones, so it's like, and the Band-Aid is throw a bunch of prescriptions, like you're saying. But I haven't treated a veteran yet that hasn't got off every single prescription within 10 dives with no withdrawal.
That's like SSRIs, benzos, like all these crazy drugs they give. You've been able to get them off that. That's amazing. Because the additional part I was hoping you touch upon is that we know from repetitive blast exposure from TBI, inside the brain, because of the damage done to the brain, there is this chronic state of neuroinflammation. You were a Green Beret, you probably shot a crap load of AT4s. You've been around breaching charges. You've shot a lot of 50 cal, whatever. And then you've been in combat where there is no control over the repetitive blast exposure you have, right? And we know that now shooting, heavy caliber rifles, whether it's a 50 cal or a sniper rifle or, whatever. All this is additional, damage done to the brain, all the blast exposure, all that. And that neuroinflammation, because of your lifestyle, it doesn't end. And that eats into the brain. It degrades the myelin. It causes all kinds of problems. It'd be interesting to see one day what we can do to validate how HBOT addresses that, because from an RBE and RBHI perspective, it could be very, very powerful. And I still think, to your point, that it has to be doing something positive, because of, if you have a TBI, you have neuroinflammation for a long time, man, and you got to close, basically a closed wound. We can't see in there. We can't see what's going on, So for HBOT, I think it is promising. Why is there so much pushback from the medical community on something that has such a high rate of positive influence on anybody I know? That everybody I know has touched. I can't wait to get in one of these chambers. I just don't have the time right now to take 40 dives. Why is there such pushback to HBOT? I just don't understand it. When I started, I was a plank member of the Green Beret Foundation. I stroked a big check to help them get going, and then some of the initial requests that we got and approved were HBOT back in 09 and 010. And here we are 15 years later, and crickets, right? I know it's not being condoned, prescribed, covered. You're talking about all these foundations. What's the big issue, man? What's the problem?
I think a lot of these nonprofits, like the Green Beret Foundation particularly, they paid for us all to go. And I talked to them when I was in SOCOM. I'm like, hey, like all of us feel so much better, but I have testimonies, but even contacting you guys, I'd like to give them to you for my friends too. Because and so for the Green Beret's perspective, foundation's perspective, I can see why the program will get cut. But really, like I have on my computer testimonies for life-changing experience, and like really they're the ones that helped me do this. But why would people fund it if they don't understand it? But there's no follow-up. It's kind of a good idea. But for the medical community, it's hard not to say that it's easier. So every hospital has hyperbaric chambers. So I've treated people with carbon dioxide poisoning. That's covered.
Say that again, because that's a fact I didn't know. So every hospital has a hyperbaric chamber in it?
Yeah. No, if not every other, because there's some things you have to use a hyperbaric chamber for.
Like what?
Carbon dioxide poisoning, crush wounds, burns covering more than 50% of your body, certain infections, gangrene.
Wow.
They do a Mark's protocol for people prone to infection in their teeth. They don't think antibiotics will help. Let's see. I got a list here.
That's cool. I had no idea that there were that. I didn't know that there was that many available, right? I'm thinking, there's like 1 or 2 in a state or something like that, right? So that's different.
Yeah. So even like sudden hearing loss, we've treated a bunch of that recently. So that's the strangest thing to me. Even the ENT's best guess is some weird virus, something. And then the crazy part is, if I can get you within 30 days, you have a pretty high success rate. I think it's like 85%. After 30 days, your success rate goes to 10 to 20%. But you also have to go through their steroid protocols for cortisol. You have to go through all the testing. And usually by the time they get to me, you've already reached outside that window. I've luckily encouraged people just to go out of pocket, and we try to backdate if we need to and try to work with insurance, because I've seen it firsthand not work, 45, 60 days later, because you're going through the process. And then, so I think there's a huge, it's really interesting. And it's interesting, the process and the way that they decide to do any of this. With TBI and PTSD, for me, it's interesting because, we show them a nuclear SPECT scan that shows blood flow, and they'll say, well, there's blood flow, but doesn't mean you're better. You show them neural activity, they'll see neural activity, and they're like, but that doesn't mean you're better. And so it's this back and forth game. But then if you look at antidepressants, then you'd be playing the same game. How do you know it worked? Well, you'd have to drill in your brain. And so how does that get improved? And that would be the question of the day, that stumps me. Like, if you can get prescribed something you can't see work on any test, but an opinion, but we can't do it with hyperbarics, I think the problem too is, if I treat you, I don't want to see you again unless it's come to say hi. So I want it to be a one done thing. I don't want a
Yeah,
monthly.
recurring revenue, bro. That's big to them farmer ding dongs, man. Ha.
Hmm.
Yeah. I was just talking to a girl on the podcast today who's got an amazing ketamine protocol, and the medical community is pushing back because they want to see you forever, dude. They don't want to cure you. They don't want you. Yeah, they don't want you to go away and not come back, which is a huge problem with our for-profit medical community, and it bothers the hell out of me. But especially when it comes down to this. So you are getting insurance coverage right now for the folks that are using your protocols.
Yes, there's 14 pre-existing conditions that you can use insurance for. But if you venture outside of that, then no way.
So you
It's
just got
like,
to make sure you somehow fall in the bucket.
oh yeah. And usually by
Good
the time,
idea.
yeah, by the time they get to there, they've already got diagnosed. Because usually it's chemo. A lot of it's chemo damage. Let's say most insurance work is damage the hospitals do with chemo. But
Really? Wow.
yeah,
Wow. I got a wife that might be able to use this. So what about TBI? Is it approved for TBI and concussions?
nope. And that's the
No.
argument of, so like the antidepressants they use the argument of, some people that brought up TBI and PTSD, it's like, well, we see blood flow, we see neural activity, but how do we know they're better? We won't cover
Well,
it.
you also got a patient that's saying this helped me. So then
And
that's the same opinion you're going to rely on with the drugs, right? Oh, you make me feel better. I can't feel my toes, but I feel better.
and that's the exact thing. That's the baffling thing. That's the battle. That's the battle we'll fight. The bigger I can get, the more I'll fight that battle.
Yeah.
So that's my goal, because it really is. It's terrible that there's dudes out there suffering like that, and they got to go. Look, I got to find them. A nonprofit's got to find them. It's all these backdoor deals to try to figure out how to get them help. So like that, because I was doing contract work with the DEA and doing some executive consulting after I did HBOT. But honestly, I felt so guilty for feeling good. Drove me over here to do this. But it shouldn't have. I'm happy it's me. But it shouldn't have to be me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
It's like,
mean, I got you, man. There's just so much that we can and we can't do. But the fact that you got a company now, you're reaching out and you're helping people, and you're right, finding them is the hardest piece. How do you find them right now,
oh
or
man,
how do people find you?
I've been to Blackwater alumni, but talked to all the battalion commanders, anybody that'll listen, or anybody in the area that'll come. I'll invite them over here. I'll go to them, or. So it's kind of, even if it's not me, it's kind of, I think the awareness needs to be known. So at 19th group, I had the sergeant major come over. I have flyers. I'll go to any event anywhere happening, just to let them know this. Like, hey, there's funding. We can help you. Don't save it for the next team. Don't save it for the next guy, because that's what everybody's going to say. Well, there's always someone worse. It's like there's always someone worse. But like, if I'll get more chambers, I'll get more employees if that comes down to me not being able to handle it. So don't save it for the next guy if you're struggling. You know what I mean?
How many chambers you got?
We have 2, but I can put in 4.
Okay.
So we can put 6 vets roughly per month, 6, 7 vets for all 60 dives in a month.
Okay. And your protocols, are they standardized for the industry, or are your protocols? Because I know you mentioned going up and going down. I've been to the Aviv clinic over here in middle of the state. They do that. They go up and down, and they said they've got the best. They're Israeli. They got the best protocols. Joe Dituri does something a little bit different. I don't know. There's a lot of. I can't stand it when people in the same industry just can't get along and just work together. But I guess there's a lot of ego and everything. I don't have an ego anymore, so I really don't care. But it pisses me off. So, like,
Yeah.
what do you got? What are you doing, man? And how did you get your protocols established?
So when I was at Sun Valley, Philip, there's a mad scientist, and he's been doing it for a long time. So just me getting treated, I'd always be picking his brain, because he seems like he always had the why for everything.
Okay.
So you get to 2 atmospheres, your cerebral spinal fluid starts moving. You get down to 2.5 atmospheres, you're affecting muscle skeletal. So it's an alternation between a light and a deeper dives wear them out, do it in the evening. So for me, it's two dive, we do two dives a day, 6 days a week. And we run a pretty hard protocol for the vets that come through. But the reason that I believe that's the way to do it is because when I was in Sun Valley, I saw a vet who did one a day, 4 or 5 days a week. And I saw the same a vet who was in the same incident he was in the same squad, do twice a day, 6 days a week. And the one that did once a day was like, yeah, I think I feel a little better. And then the one that did twice a day, 6 days a week was like, how do I donate? How do I get into this? How do I help? And so for me, the stark difference was like, well, if someone's not going to be consistent, then I don't want to take their money or even start a program. It's like, hey, find a point in your life that it matters to you to make a change. Like, don't drag this on when you have free time because you're just wasting all of our time. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. Hey, and for those people that might be asking, there's a lot of ways to rent HBOT chambers. You got the soft side chambers, stuff like that, and you could buy your own if you get that kind of coin. What are your guidelines on that? For people that like my son-in-law had a brain tumor, so we got him an HBOT chamber at home and kind of got him in that for quite a while, just to help him, with healing. What's your recommendations? When is it good? Not good? Not, what's your point? What do you think?
I think if you with mild and regular hyperbarics, it's kind of like if you need that vascular growth, if you need that neural growth, if you want that stem cell growth, like that if you need big change, I think the deeper chamber's the way to go. Obviously, it's time, it's money, it's all the things. I think mild hyperbarics does really well with inflammation management, recovery. So for athlete recovery, maybe if something's going on in your body, you need to help recovery, help manage inflammation. I think that with consistency is a good tool. So it kind of depends on, like in my opinion, like with a tumor, you kind of want the angiogenesis in conjunction with the T cell production to try to get more oxygen to get in there to fight it, versus because tumors are inherently hypoxic. So they can't really, your body has a hard time fighting it. So there's not a lot of blood flow in there. It just kind of leaches what it needs. And so for that, I would say it'd be beneficial maybe to do some harder dives and really take some other compounds that people may find scary to also boost your T cells to help fight that.
Cool. Good enough. So you got a clinic right now as we close out, because we got to get ready for another show. So how do people find you? Right. All right, what are you up to next? All right. So this is your 5-10 minutes, take as much time, thump your chest. Tell us, what is Wren Murray up to, man? What are you doing? What's your next steps? Where do you see this going? What do you want to achieve? And then how do people find you?
Oh man. So I think expansion here, I think we have the potential to expand in Utah more, handle more capacity, kind of working in the angle of doing more blood work, making kind of a more standardized procedure, a predictive analysis of what procedures are working and what aren't working, and also depending on people's nutrition and blood, what's going on in their body, just to try to be as effective as possible. I think that's exciting for me, kind of nerdy, but you know, other than that, have a 9-month-old. That's exciting.
Yeah,
That's been
good for
a
you,
lot of
man.
fun.
No contact sports, man. I'm telling you, you don't want to be in my camp, bro.
Yeah. I'll contest to that one for her. Good thing it's female, so hopefully she won't play in football.
No head and soccer balls is just as bad right now, man. I wrote the book on this thing, man. I'll get you one, man. Don't worry about it, man. So I love New Dads, man. It was the best title. Still got 2 beautiful girls, man. So it's that's good. So you got a 9-year-old, and then what are you trying to do with legislation or your white paper stuff? Where you want to go with that?
So with the white paper, well, there's some broad service announcements out with SOCOM right now for TBI PTSD research, and it's like if I can get the awareness, like the contract's great, whatever, you know what I mean. It's if I really just wanted to make money, I just do insurance. But if I can give quality results that people can just look at and try to realize, like, okay, shit, we can do something about helping our own guys out. It's not. I just think there's not enough awareness. It's like a lot of times you talk about HBOT and it looks like people look at you like you're wearing a wig made of dildos. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
some
Or some doctor says, that shit don't work, right? I mean, because they're asking around, and people do not know that, the hundreds of people you've treated, a lot of people. I mean, they got $26 million to fund this study here in Florida, and and the hope was that by establishing this longitudinal study, now we can go to we can go to VA, TRICARE, and get these guys help. And then, but we got to have protocols, and I'd like to know more about that. And, we are having a summit, the only international summit on repetitive brain trauma here in Tampa. So right up the street. As a matter of fact, it's 1/2 mile from McDill Gate. So if you want to come on out, we'll send you an invitation coming out. Maybe there's a spot for you on a panel to talk about hyperbarics. Joe Deturi will be there. And we can just have a discussion on, hyperbarics and why we need to move forward with this and how do we scale it, right? I mean, because that's the big issue, man. Once this becomes a standard of care, we're going to put all these HBOT machines, right? And how are we going to schedule? And I know there's some for-profit, people have talked about that want to, build like the cryo industry, right? All these little mom and pop shops, and stuff. Dude, that's amazing. But what do you want to do with that?
I mean, even if it's like getting into the Thor program, there's already dive teams. It would be easy to certify. Like let everybody handle their own, or like I have a little line in the white paper on mobile. So kind of like if people are hurting somewhere, coming to them to get treatment, making it easily accessible wherever they're at, wherever they have the injury, they have a bad jump, they have a bad dive, they have a bad whatever. And it's like we can prevent this damage instead of having to deal with the TBI, having to deal with their divorce, having to deal with all that, because all of a sudden, hey, that guy got a brain injury and now he's an asshole and now he has no emotion. It's like, well, in my opinion, we can prevent that. And we could take a little bit of active measures if we know that this is what it does, and this is dudes are killing themselves and dudes are losing their lives for this. It's like for a couple of days of their time to prevent their brain from swelling. Because you look at neuroinflammation, what's inflammation? It's a lack of blood flow. Lack of blood flow is lack of oxygen.
Yep.
So
two things the brain needs, man. 2 to 3 supplementation, man. Got to get some food, But yeah, you're all over the space, man.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. It's but I'd love to come out and chat. I'm really down to talk to whoever will listen to me rant about this stuff.
Hey, we got some legislation in Congress right now that's gonna authorize coverage for HBOT along with psychedelics, brain supplementation, and all the stuff. So I'll fill you in on that, and
that'd be great.
Cover that. Cool.
I'd love to explain to people the order, because I'm a firm believer.
I'm looking for orders, because we get people calling up and we're making recommendations, but we're just a service. Our job is to get the information out there. We need you to talk to the specialist, so we'll have them call you, man. I'm all about it. We'll put you on speed dial. Don't worry about it. Get
awesome, bro. I appreciate it.
All right, Wren. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for your service. Not only to this country, but to our service members and to all those other people that you're helping with your modality. Keep it on it. I love seeing Green Berets succeed. Nothing makes me more proud to see, other Green Berets moving out, man. And selfless service to others is just a passion, and moving on from just being a veteran to a veteran with a mission. Good for you, man. God bless you, and keep on going. All right.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, man. Folks, another great episode of Broken Brains. Remember, go to the website, get your free book, download it, find Wren Murray's organization. Hey, do you have a website, by the way?
Yep, Hyperbarics.com. You'll have a number on there. People can reach out to me. I can get someone set up for 40, 60 dives in a week or two.
Beat that chest, man. Revivalhyperbarics.com. Go there. Learn about this stuff, man, because it could apply to you or somebody you love. So signing off, remember our summit on repetitive brain health, September 3rd or 4th at the Special Forces Team House right outside McDill. Go to the app, download our app, the Smart Head app or Head Smart app. Learn about repetitive brain trauma. Take care of your children. Become informed. Like us, share us, subscribe to us. We really appreciate that, pushing it out, because it's our job as the only voice in repetitive brain trauma from the Mac Parkman Foundation to make sure people are aware so they can heal, They can come back to themselves, come to their families, and they can take care of themselves and stay on this planet if they're hurting to that point. And please give us a call if you're in that condition, because we have an entire network of people like Wren that we can move you to get the help you need. You are not alone. So for all of you, thank you very much. Take care of those brains. You only got one of them, and it's all you are. And we'll talk to you later on another episode of Broken Brains. Take care. Bye-bye.